So here I am with Lee Domain, all the way from Sweet Home, Alabama. He's here in Toowoomba helping us with Legacy Conference. And it's just been such a joy to spend time with this amazing couple. Lee and Laura are just an amazing couple, down-to-earth couple from America, making a difference around the world. 22,000 churches affected by what Lee does. So Lee, tell me a little bit about your business journey.
One, it's just an honor to be here. I'm in love with Toowoomba, Queensland, and just a great work that you guys are doing. And it actually, be honest with you, it's been quite overwhelming just to see what God's doing in and through Highlands, the schools, the college, and just a precious community. So my wife and I have always loved Australia. We love the Australian people, and so it's an honor to be here. But as far as my background, was in business for over 35 years, still have some business interests today, but I think the last really 11 years of my life have been solely focused on helping others kind of achieve what God's called them to do. I think the greatest blessing, or really the greatest success in my life, really is the successes of other people that I've invested in.
Yeah, that's so good.
And so being a part of Church of the Highlands in Birmingham, Sweet Home, Alabama, has been a joy in my life. Pastor Chris Hodges and now Pastor Mark Pettis, who is the lead pastor, just love them a ton. Great leaders, have really an apostolic focus on really the globe. Really, it's God's will for churches to grow. As long as heaven and hell are real, and people are going to go there, like your church has to grow.
Yes.
And some people say, well, I just like it the way it is. It's small and we know everybody, and that's just a horrible strategy to win the lost.
Certainly is.
It's really a bad day for them, honestly. And so I've really just given my life to helping business people and pastors come together in for, I think, the greatest deal of all, and that's advancing God's kingdom. And so been married to my lovely wife, Laura, for 36 years, have 5 kids, 4 boys, and 1 daughter, and she's the caboose. She's at the end. And she's in college. The rest of them are married. So I have 4 daughter-in-laws and counting 9 grandkids. And hopefully I can double that. That's my focus, my prayer, and my incentive plan
How are the
to my
kids with
kids. Huh? What's that?
How are the kids with that?
A couple of them, they're done. And so it keeps putting weight downstream on the others. They're going to have to fill the gap. And my poor daughter, she may have to have 8. But no. But we love family. We love being grandparents. We love being what we call boss and lovey to those grandkids. And it's a great season of life. I have more wind in my sail than I ever have. I have more passion for people, for the lost, for the church to advance. I have more energy than I've ever had in my life. Yeah. And so I'm 61. Whoever said 60 is the new 40, they lied. Yeah. Because 60 is it's 60. But at 61, it's a great season. Get the privilege of working with lots of churches and helping really pastors and business people come together. And we're seeing not only people coming to Christ, but we're seeing the church advance all throughout the world in just amazing ways. And to be a small part of that is incredibly fulfilling.
Yeah, it's great. So what's the difference a business person makes in the world of the church?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of business people that, like, we're all searching. Yeah. All of us have different sports teams we like. All of us have different cultures. We all have different food we like, different music we like, but all of us long for one thing. Does not matter if you're in Alabama, Australia, you're in Asia, you're in Europe, you're in South Africa. We all long for the same thing, and that's fulfillment.
Yeah.
And as business people, they're longing for fulfillment, and they're chasing these things that only to obtain certain levels of success, and they're still not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so there's a scripture in Colossians 1:16. It's one of my favorite life scriptures. And in summary, it just says, the whole chapter 1 talks about the supremacy of God. Well, in verse 16, it says that we're created by God, but we're created for God.
Yes.
And if you reconcile that verse, you have to, like, your behavior has to change.
Yeah.
So then everything now that I'm aligning and I'm chasing and I'm trying to do and build, really it's by God, but it's for God.
Yeah.
And anything outside of that, I'm never going to fulfill what God's created me to do. And I'm never going to, I would say it this way, you are never truly going to be fulfilled, business person, outside of God's will for your life.
Yeah.
You may have ways of putting temporary Band-Aids on things with money and success and possessions, but it never lasts. And so what I see business people that are longing for more. Yeah. I see business people that are saying, you know what, I've done well and I've achieved things, but I'm still empty. Help me through that journey, Lee. Help me walk into that journey to how do I even partner with my pastor? Yeah. What does that even look like? Yeah. He's speaking one dialect, I'm speaking another, and I don't understand his dialect. He's speaking Mandarin, I'm speaking Cantonese.
Yeah.
And there's a disconnect. And so what I've become really over the last probably 25 years is a translator.
Wow, that's great.
Is translating those two worlds because they need each other. So to answer your question, and this is a weighty statement, but the destiny of a pastor and the destiny of a Christian business person, they're intertwined. Because one sets vision, the other sets pace. Yep. One sets vision, the other has the ability to accelerate it. Yes. So we're sitting in this beautiful campus in Toowoomba. I think you call it your Middle Ridge campus. Well, somebody had to invest in this. So you had vision for the campus, you had vision for the architectural plans, you had vision for the school and the buildings, but unless someone funds it, it's not going anywhere.
Yep.
And so where God's really created pastors and business people not to compete against one another, but to complete each other. Yes. And hence, fulfillment happens.
Yeah.
Kingdom advancement happens. Life change happens. Legacies change to lasting legacies, not just these elements of worldly success that bring really no meaning at the end.
So, Lee, it's okay to be wealthy as a business person. And sometimes I think in Australia, Australians struggle with that. We call it the tall poppy syndrome. How do you deal and how do you help business people understand it's okay to be wealthy, but how they then get not just a return on investment, but using your term, an eternal return on investment?
Yeah, you know, in business, we track everything by ROI, return on investment. And so you invest in something expecting X return. You're going to keep investing in it if you achieve certain benchmarks and so forth. You're going to stop investing it if you're losing money. But what happens is the kingdom is different.
Yeah.
It's not a dollar amount. Now, the dollars are needed to get projects done, missions sent, water wells dug, girls rescued out of the sex trade, buildings built, all those things. It requires resource, finances. But ROI, an eternal return on investment, is really in souls. It's life change. Yeah. We don't build the building for the building's sake. Yep. We build the building for the life change to happen inside the building that's going to change generations.
Yep.
And I've been coming to Australia for 20 years now. I love the country. And I've been hearing about what you said for 20 years. Yeah. 20 years, this tall poppy syndrome. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And some people say, well, you know, you in America, y'all have a lot of confidence and you just believe in these lofty things or whatever. And whether that's true or not, but you can't complain about what you tolerate.
Come on, that's good.
And so I'm sitting here going, why would we as the body of Christ shrink back? We serve a God who doesn't have a supply issue. I think we have a stewardship issue. Yeah. I think we have a faith issue. I think we have, you know, your purpose is tied to your pace, and your pace is tied to your health. Your pace is tied to your age. Your pace is tied to your faith level. Yeah. The Bible says that there's different levels of faith. But what I want to see is honestly in Australia, and I was with a group of business leaders just recently, and I shared with them, it's like, let's stop talking about tall poppy syndrome and let's hit it head on and start living and let our lives be a witness that breaks the back of that mindset.
It's great.
Australian people are bold. Yeah. The Australia that I knew as a kid, man, you'd watch it on TV. Those were men. Those were like men who were masculine and men they would go and seize territory. I mean, they were doers. They were conquerors. They were men of authority. And you always looked at Australian men as like, man, those are some guys that are tough.
Yeah.
And then, so what we've done is we've demasculized men. We've demasculized what it looks like to be a leader. Yeah. We've almost neutered, for a veterinary term, but we've neutered the ability to say, no, making money, who do you think you are to do that?
Yeah.
You see, what I've found, Ken, is people don't mind you being successful, just not too much. And I look at that and I'm like, wow, we have missed the mark. And I think it's a ploy to spiritualize it. Yeah. I think it is a ploy of the enemy of our soul to keep us captive in a mindset that only destroys us in our future because it limits us. So why don't we switch it and say, I'm going to be thankful. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to extend gratitude. I'm going to celebrate every single person that God is blessing and encourage him to do more. Why would we as parents want our kids to maintain what we've done?
Yeah,
instead, doesn't it say we want our kids standing on our shoulders? Yep. Well, if I'm standing on your shoulders, I should see further.
Yep.
I should take more ground. I should do greater things because my position is on your shoulders. And so I think what we've got to do is not only break the mindset, which is scarcity and poverty or expense. We just need enough to survive. Well, where in the Bible does it ever say anything about that? It says that my God is more than enough. Yeah. It says that my God shall supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. So that's abundance. Yeah. There's an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset in the kingdom. This is where the challenge comes. And I would challenge every pastor and every business person, when you turn the blessings of God on yourself in a selfish way, that's where I think we get bent. That's where I think many times that we get off the road into a slippery slope of a mindset that's only going to set us back and keep us captive, rather than we lose the purpose of the blessing. The purpose of the blessing, every act of generosity that God gives us, there is a purpose that he wants attached to it to get done what he wants done.
Yes.
So you can't mistake the generosity as self-serving, where the generosity is only for me. The way I keep greed in check is being extremely generous, because my selfish ways, and we all are selfish. Yeah. We all, from little kids to taking toys away, and we get a Christmas present from someone and someone else gets a different Christmas present and we want what they have. Yeah. I mean, it's just hardwired in us. So the way that you keep that in check or in control is generosity. Yeah. But this is an important note for all my business people who are listening. Every business breakthrough I ever had, and I've had many, every single one, always the breakthrough came after an act of generosity. Wow. I can tie it back to being generous, because I think it opens God's hands and he says, you know what, I'm just going to bless you because you're being a blessing to other people. Whether it's the server at a restaurant, I'm going to bless them. Like, what is it if I add another digit? Does it break me? No, it doesn't break me, but it's life-changing for someone. Yeah, that's right. And it also shows them that God hasn't forgotten them.
Yeah, which is brilliant.
Yeah. And so I want to see pastors and business people come together because their destinies are tied. You know, they're going to find true fulfillment when it's a covenant relationship. It's a partnership. And it's been that way. Watch this, Ken. It's been that way for thousands of years. In the Bible, there were kings and there were priests. It's even in the New Testament. When Jesus was born, a star appeared to the Magi, Matthew 2. But watch this. Those Magi were searching for something. Yes. They were longing for more. Why would they take the equivalent of suitcases full of cash
Yeah.
in gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and traveled 2 years to search for Jesus.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of the gold, frankincense, and myrrh? Well, they're bringing it because obviously they had wealth and obviously they were generous.
Yeah.
But they wanted to what? As an act of worship, give to the Christ child. So in America, you go and you see manger scenes and the three kings and the Joseph and Mary. That's not where it happened because he was 2 years old.
Yeah.
So they go into a house, and the first thing the Magi do is they get on their knees and they offer this act of worship of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Radical generosity. But watch this. The next verse after that radical generosity of worship, of giving, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph and said, Joseph, I need you to take your family and I need you to leave the country.
Yeah.
I need you to go to a place you know no one. You have no connections. You have no job. You have zero resource. But you see, God seeded
Yes.
that move of moving Jesus to Egypt. Well, how did they survive? They survived from the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh.
Isn't that brilliant?
So God gave them provision for his vision for the hope of all mankind.
Yeah.
So God's model has not changed. He's using kings in the marketplace. Now, I'm not talking about a king for you to rule over where you have this crown in your life, but I want you to see yourself, business person, as in a place of authority. And by the way, if you're listening and you work for McDonald's serving hamburgers and French fries, or you own 50 McDonald's, God can use you.
Yes.
Because he only holds you accountable for what you do have.
Yeah, which is great. So good. So we met with a couple of young business people this morning, and there seems to be something different happening in this generation. There seems to be an activation of, we're just going to do this. We're going to make a difference. How are you seeing that across the world?
Well, one, I was impressed by those two young men, both 21 years old, young entrepreneurs, hair on fire,
Yeah.
a lot of passion, a lot of energy. They're not listening to the noise.
Yeah.
I think a generation is raising up in Australia that's not accepting that mindset, and they're rising above that mindset. That's what I saw in those two individuals. And so as I spoke to them and hearing their story and their passion and, and the commitments that they're making, not only to the Lord, but to themselves and then even in their business partnership, that they're wanting to raise up a kingdom business. I think God is raising people up. I'm seeing it in hundreds of thousands of people that we come across in the 22,000 churches that we help and growing. It grows at about, 10% a year. And so where we're helping churches break growth barriers. So obviously the partnership between pastors and business people would be key, but God is messing with business people.
Yeah.
And he's stirring something up inside of them that they're longing for more.
Yeah.
And so pastors, we have to create a place for them to express that. We can't control them. We don't need to manipulate. They're not your ATM machine.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but what they are is an owner in the vision with you. See, we don't want members of our church at Church of the Highlands. We want owners.
Yeah.
And when we have owners, we get to do it together. So I'm not across the table from a business person or a pastor negotiating, trying to convince you to do something. I'm saying, here's the vision. Let's go after it together.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to do that, I have to communicate what we're doing, what we've done, which shows credibility, and then what we could do if, which speaks to future vision. And what we're seeing right now across the world is this partnership is coming together because business people are longing for more. Pastors can't do it without them, so they're having to get over themselves and maybe some insecurities. And really what I call set the table for business people to connect to purpose.
Yeah.
And when you do that, we're seeing even at our own church, in the last over 25 years, we've had over 364,000 documented signed card salvations.
Which is incredible.
We funded over 200 million just to missions and outreach alone.
Yeah.
We have zero debt. We have $700 million in paid off assets of that the church uses. And you know why? It's because we've stewarded it well. Some churches don't want to talk about that. We do, because it shows our business people we're stewarding it very, very well. Yeah. And matter of fact, we're not going to tell you where your giving is wrong. We're just going to show you something better, because everyone wants to know, am I winning?
Yes.
And how am I winning? Yeah. And we've taken it upon ourselves to make sure we communicate that. I see the local church, Ken, as a kingdom mutual fund.
That's great.
And that's doing amazing work, that because it's in real estate, it's in students, leadership, education, next generation, it's in local benevolence and outreach and feeding people, it's in digging water wells, it's in Great Commission, the missions, it's in Bible translation, it's in all these different things. Well, that's a portfolio.
Yeah. So
how is my portfolio performing?
Yeah, that's good.
You got to communicate to your business people. You owe it to them from a stewardship perspective, of just showing them what we're doing and what we've done. Because those wins and outcomes justify more new vision getting done.
Yep.
So I tell pastors who have one location, they're like, we believe in a second location. I'm like, oh, really? I said, how are you winning at the first one?
Yeah.
Have you communicated that to your people? If they know you're winning at the first one, the second one's going to be very easy to do. Yep. Because they want to invest in things that are winning.
Yep.
And many churches are winning at massive levels, but they're having to learn how to communicate in that dialect of the business person. Yep. And it's been life-changing.
Lee, this is amazing. Honestly, it is. And the work we've done together over the last few years, we've seen an incredible impact here at Highlands in Australia. But you've had a whole pile of resources produced, which we've used, and they've been outstanding. Can you give us a brief overview of those resources that are available?
Yeah. Let me say this first, though. Thank you for leading well, for being intentional. Thank you for setting the table for your business people to connect to kingdom purpose. Because you know what? If we don't help business people connect to kingdom purpose, they're going to medicate the pain of unfulfillment in some very destructive ways. Yeah. I was one of those guys. Yeah. And so I want to encourage you and just thank you for being a leader of leaders. Thank you for all the churches that you guys influence, and let's keep going and doing it together. Resource-wise, to the amazement of my high school English teacher, I actually wrote a book.
Yeah.
And so I've written 4 books. One is called Pearls of the King, and I think it's a great foundational tool for business leaders and pastors to see what this relationship can be, how does it work, how to identify it. But at the end of the day, it's really an intimacy with God book.
Yeah.
And I call it God's game plan for your life. So Pearls of the King was my first book, probably still my favorite. Yeah. Second book was Stay in Your Lane. And God's given us all a lane to run a race in. Most people see their lane as a limitation when God's saying, really, son, it's an invitation.
Yeah.
And so I walk through that and share some really intimate stories. Also have Kingdom Builders weekly devotionals through the KB Game Plan. And one that I've been doing now for the last 8 years with my family is called the Family Meeting Guide. Yeah. And what that is a roadmap to do family meetings every year. So in the corporate world, we spend millions of dollars on getting our executives and our teams together, and we cast vision and mission for the company. Yeah. We talk about values and who we are as a company. And how many of us have ever done that for our families? Mm. And so 8 years ago, I started doing that, my wife Laura and I, and we started getting our family. So I sent them an invitation to come to a hotel, and we were going to have our first family meeting. It was like a Fortune 100 company board meeting. Yeah. I had packets made. I wanted to show them excellence. I had packets made with agenda, with questions, with preparation, and what we're going to do for the next day and a half. And it was intimidating for me as the dad. They expected me to dictate what was going to happen, and I didn't, because it had to be collaborative. Yeah. You see, I don't want to raise compliant kids. I want kids who have had a heart change. Yeah. I don't want to raise kids that just follow the rules, and then when they leave home, there's no more rules and they don't follow them. Mm. So what I've done, and my wife and I, is we've been super intentional. We are not perfect. We have lots of issues as a family, but we are very intentional. So we set vision and mission of who the Domingues are. See, the world's going to try to dictate the values of for your family. So don't tell them like what they're doing is wrong. Give them something better and let them be a part of building it. So we have 9 values of our family. It's values like integrity and generosity and transparency, but there's a why behind it. And the why is, like transparency, for example, is it lays the seed bed for the foundation of trust. Why is it that we're generous? Why is it that faith is a value? Why is it that leadership is a value? And so we feel like God's helped us create these values, and we reaffirm them every year. Then we also do another exercise where there's questions like, what's your greatest fear this year, and how can we as a family help you walk through that? Every person has to come with one character trait that they admire about everyone in the room, and they need to look at them and tell them. And so my wife will affirm me with a character trait and tell me why. My kids will affirm each other. Everyone in the room has to do it, and have someone. So there's a lot of Kleenex, a lot of crying. Yeah. It's and my kids are, I have some tough boys. They're weeping like babies. Yeah. Because it's just a powerful moment of being affirmed. Everyone knows you love each other, but to look at them and tell them in the spoken word is powerful. So we do that, and I have someone taking minutes the whole time, like a board meeting. You say, why would you do that? Well, let's fast track 50 to 100 years. Yeah. Let's talk about legacy for a second. In the cloud, I have every family meeting, the pictures, the minutes, what was said, what was talked about, what was discussed. Makes me very emotional even to talk about it. Yeah. You want to talk about legacy? Go look back. My great-great-great-great-great-grandkids 100 years from now are going to be able to go in that folder and see the Domingues. This is who we are. Yeah. This is what we believe. When the world's come calling, they may make mistakes and they may hit the guardrail some, but I truly believe that they're going to come to themselves and say, you know what? No, I don't want that. I know this is right. This is who we are. And so we've created that vehicle through the family meeting guide. And so thousands of families around the world take it. And you can be a blended family. Yep. You can be a single parent. You can have kids that are young or kids that are old. It basically addresses all the different types of situations that you may be in. And it's not for those that are just wealthy. Yeah. Every family should do this. Yeah. And when you do, you're going to create. See, I'm focused a lot less on a third generation of wealth and more on a third generation of faith. Because if you get the faith component down, the wealth becomes a weapon to do great things. If you don't, the wealth can destroy you. Yeah, absolutely. So, and you can get any of those resources, Ken, at kingdombuilders.us, or on Amazon as well. And I hope it's a blessing to anybody who would get it.
That's fantastic. Well, Lee, thank you so much. Thank you for being in Australia. Thank you for sowing into my life personally over the last few years. Thank you for sowing into the life of our campuses here. The impact is enormous, what you're doing, and we're seeing the impact come through on people over the last couple of days coming and saying, wow, this has changed my life. So you've changed lives around the world, but you're changing lives right here in Toowoomba. Thank you, and Laura, for being here, taking the time out of your busy schedule to come to Australia, all that 25 hours of flying to be here to make a difference in our world. So we appreciate you so very much.
Thank you. We love you guys. Thank you.